Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening live to an edition of ATL Prime Sports. Todd Corder here with you. JJ on the other side of the ATL. Wayne, our producer in Memphis, Tennessee, and Mark Mancini joining us today from Los Angeles, where the Dodgers are still trying to figure out how to get to the World Series. Hint, hint, it's not happening this year. As we all know, everybody, this is a interesting time here in Atlanta sports. The Atlanta Braves will be playing Game 6 of the World Series tomorrow in Houston after losing yesterday to the Astros after up 4-0 in the first inning on a grand slam. So the Braves weren't able to hang on with their bullpen game. And, of course, the Georgia Bulldogs won against Florida in the annual battle, the cocktail party down there in Jacksonville. And, of course, the Atlanta Falcons bringing up the rear as usual, lost yesterday to the Carolina Panthers. You can catch our show here on ATL Prime Sports live each and every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Blog Talk Radio. You can catch all of us on social media. Myself at Corder Todd, all of us at ATL Prime Sports, JJ Gets You One, Wayne at RWY Jr., and Mark at Mancini Sports. Guys, good morning. Tough loss for the Braves yesterday. We all wanted them to go ahead and clinch it, and they did not. JJ, I'm going to come to you. This game is going from having Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Greg Maddux, sprinkle in Denny Nagel, Steve Poison Avery, and others, and starting pitching for the Braves in the World Series in the 90s. And yesterday, and we just went from Lee to Tucker Davidson. My, how the game has changed, my friend.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. I mean, it's unbelievable how often pitchers are changed. They're trying to speed up the game, but it just seems like it's slowing down more and more with these pitching changes. Do I mind it? No. It's the new game of baseball. It's all about matchups and high-leverage situations because there's a lot more walks with these guys, and that really changed the game last night. A fifth inning, almost what seemed like a meaningless intentional walk to get to a struggling hitter in Martin Maldonado. He crouches the plate. He gets up in front of the plate, gets on top of the plate to try and see the cutter better, hitting a freezing 167. He ends up being about the player of the game. He gets that go-ahead walk in the fifth inning off of A.J. Minter, who will look thrown off by it. And you mentioned it. These guys are at the beginning of the game. This isn't I just said A.J. Minter, one of our star relievers, the Brave star left-hander, in the fifth inning. It's crazy. It's a different game, Todd.
It's a totally different game, Mark. I bring it over to you. The Braves had a chance to close it out last night. Give Houston and Dusty Baker a lot of credit. They made some adjustments in the lineup. Did the Astros. Dusty Baker has connections here. He played for the Braves when Hank Aaron, at the same time the great Hank Aaron did. They moved Tucker around. They moved Bregman in the order. They moved Brantley around. This was a gutsy move by Dusty Baker, one that had to be made. Give Houston credit, down 4-0 on the grand slam yesterday. Off the bat of Adam Duvall, and they were able to come back. They never panicked, and now they've got a Game 6 and a potential Game 7 in their barn, and this series is far from over.
Well, first of all, you got to give the Astros credit. They've been in the World Series 3 of the last 5 years. Second of all, Atlanta's got to be happy. You traded the All-Star game to get the World Series. I'd do that any day of the week. And third of all, when I look at the Braves, and, a lot of people compare the Dodgers and the Braves, but the Braves have just had an influx of pitching there. Had an off night yesterday, but at least they don't have the problems they have out here in Los Angeles in shades of 1985 when Tommy Lasorda decided to pitch to Jack Clark, and you know the outcome of that. So they're hanging division flags in Los Angeles, but the Braves, that's a team, even though they've won one World Series in that decade, I still respect that organization because that pitching just comes up. It's unbelievable. It's the bar in baseball for years.
Well, yes, Atlanta's been, they've really been consistent since 1991. There's no doubt about it. It all started, to me, back when they started acquiring Maddox and Glavine and Smoltz. They acquired John Smoltz back in 1987 for Doyle Alexander. Little did anybody know from the state of Michigan that John Smoltz, the Lansing native Michigan, was going to go on and be a star for the Braves because Detroit, they traded him to get Doyle Alexander to win the division title in '87. They did that. They lost to the Twins in the playoffs, and the Twins went on to win the World Series. But things like that, this is how organizations are built, and that's how Atlanta is built through their starting pitching, through the minor leagues, and they love to develop their players, and they've really done an excellent job in the last 30 plus years, whether Ted Turner owned the team or Liberty Media. More so with Liberty Media, they've got to develop their players more than ever because Ted Turner would go out and get the big free agent like a Greg Maddux or a Fred McGriff when needed to. Where Liberty Media, we don't even know if they're going to keep Freddy Freeman next year, do we, JJ?
Not at all. Not at all. It's a big question mark. You could be seeing the last two games of Freddie Freeman in an Atlanta Braves uniform. I like to think that doesn't happen. I like to think Liberty Media makes the room. They're making a ton of money. That battery is packed. They get every single penny in that battery. And, folks, let me tell you what. Freddie Freeman's the face of this franchise, whether you like it or not. Acuna will be back next year. Ozuna pending MLB investigation and a suspension could be back with the Atlanta Braves. They'll have a big offseason decision with Peterson, Soler, Rosario. And here we are. We're talking about Freddie Freeman maybe not being an Atlanta Brave. It's absolutely crazy. This guy means so much to the city, this franchise. He's been through it, through the thick, through the thin, through pennant races prior with Fran Core and Chipper Jones. Now to guys from Ender and Ciarte days where Ender got 200 hits in 2017 on a meaningless ball club to NLDS 18, NLDS 19, obviously the 10-run inning against the Cardinals. And here we are now. Again, you got to sign this guy, Liberty Media. Alex Anthopoulos, find a way to make it happen.
32 years old, still has plenty of baseball left with him. To me, it's not only about the money, Mark. It's about the length of the contract. And the Braves, they've been very smart. They have readjusted this outfield, and since August 1st, they've had the third best record in the National League. They were 52-55 on August 1st. They went 36-18 down the stretch. Beat a Milwaukee team who, wasn't playing well in the month of September as St. Louis. They didn't almost catch him, but they put a big dent in the lead. They ended up getting the wild card. The third best record in the NL behind Los Angeles and San Francisco. And if it wasn't for Alex Anthopoulos, revamping the outfield, we're not talking about the Braves and the World Series today, Mark. We're just not. I mean, Eddie Rosario, he's going to be here next year. Adam Duvall, I bet he's here next year. Jock Peterson, not sure. But this is a Soler. We'll see about him. But Mark, when we shift this over to Game 6, you're going to see a change in the lineup because the Astros are going to be throwing I think it's Garcia, I believe, in Game 6. But you're going to see the Braves. You're going to see them DH. Soler, you're going to see them play Jock Peterson in right, and you're going to see them keep Duvall in center, and obviously Rosario in left, Mark. And even though Atlanta's a National League team, that is definitely going to help out the Braves going back to Houston because that means they can use all their outfielders, as Luis Garcia is the one that will pitch on Game 6 Tuesday at 8:09 p.m. on Fox TV. I like the adjustment that the Braves get a chance to DH Soler and bring Jock Peterson in right field. Your thoughts?
Well, I said the Braves would win this World Series in 6 games. Nothing's going to change. When you look at the teams that come in hot, the Braves remind me of the Nationals a few years ago. They rolled in hot and they started taking out teams. And that's what the Braves have done. They've clicked at the right time. There were no excuses in Atlanta when, half their outfield went. They made the adjustments. And that's the difference. And, the comparison out here in Los Angeles, and we've seen it, is, there's a lot of excuses why they haven't done nothing with the talent they've had. It's been a 6-year run out here. Now there's going to be a change into the guard. You see Bob Melvin going down to San Diego, and he's going to work his magic from Oakland into San Diego. The Giants are coming on, and the Braves are going to be there. They'll sign the key free agents they need to sign, and there'll be a threshold in the National League East. The only comparison is Cohen going to open up the money in New York, and then the Phillies going to do something. So there's where it lies. But I like the Braves.
Hey, Mark,
the system's in place.
Mark, can I say something, though? The Dodgers, they've been really good the last 9 years. They've won the division title 8 times. They've been to the World Series 3. They won it all. I know it was only a 60-game season, but I compare the Dodgers a lot with the 90 Braves. Great starting pitching. Relief pitching has been a thorn in their side. That's just like the Braves. They weren't able to get those multiple World Series titles because they didn't have a great backing of the bullpen in those years. Same thing for Los Angeles. Lineups are pretty similar. I mean, I give the Dodgers a lot of credit, Mark, what they've done in today's game where it's so much more competitive now with 32 teams in Major League Baseball. You've got to give them credit for being competitive.
Well, we can agree to disagree. The Braves back then had to go up against the Yankees, the Indians, teams like this. The Dodgers have they've had a 6-year run here, and if you want to hang division flags in Los Angeles, you can hang division flags. They've had a $300 million payroll, and the last time I checked, they're sharing the same popcorn on the couch with me, with the Pirates. So If they've got a boatload of money and you want to piss it away, well, you can flush it down the toilet every day, and that's okay. But the bottom line is nobody remembers 106 wins 5 years from now. They only remember who won the World Series, which will be the Braves again.
But, Mark, to be fair, it's been 9 years they've been on this long run, and it's been very similar to Atlanta's, whether they have a $300 million payroll or not. Atlanta had an elite payroll in the 90s. And they were competing the same type of clubs that the Dodgers are competing for today. The Yankees are in it, the Red Sox are in it, they're always in it. But JJ, switching over to you, to me, this I'm done with all the analytics here when it comes to these next 2 games. I'm done with the computer. I'm done with everything. Now, to me, it comes down to Max Fried. He must, in my opinion, turn in a Tom Glavine-type performance, just Tom Glavine it, throw 8 shutout innings, and Freddy Freeman needs to Dave Justice it, get him a home run, and Fried needs to walk in that dugout and say, hey, all right, guys, you got me my 1 run. It's time for me to shut it down and throw a historical performance, and everybody put the computers away and all this other stuff and get back to old school baseball, because that's what got the Braves here was their starting pitching. They've thrown more innings out of the bullpen than they have their starters this series, and that has got to stop now, starting tomorrow night.
You nailed it again. Max Fried coming into this game in the World Series, he got a 10.80 ERA. He's 0-1. He's only pitched 5 innings, folks. Got to change the narrative. Here it is. Game on the line, championship on the line. Max Fried, we put at the front of the roster, hey, this is our ace. He may be our opening day guy next year if Charlie Morton's not back in time from the broken fibula, fractured fibula, I should say. So you got to go in this game with confidence. You just got to say exactly what you just did. Just get me a couple runs, guys. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to correct my wrongs. I'm not going to tip my pitches like we talked about earlier in the postseason. There was reports going around he was tipping his pitches. Now he was a little behind in his motion. Kind of John Smoltz was talking about it during the game. Seemed like he was a little behind on his motion, a little off on the timing. Get it down, get it together, and hey, give the team 6+ innings, 7 innings. Let Minter go out there, correct his wrongs. Let Jackson go out there. He's going to be well rested. Matzek's going to be well rested, and let Will Smith close the thing down, just like Mark said. Got to do this thing in 6, because I think if you give them one more game, give them one more momentum, we all know what happens. Anything can happen in a Game 7. Max Fried, you got to be the X factor in this series. You got to take it, and you got to pitch an extremely lights-out game, one of the best of your careers. Freddy Freeman, Austin Riley, Rosario, Soler, Swanson, Duvall, Peterson off the bench, or if he starts, they're going to pick you up. Go get the job done.
Jock Peterson will probably play right field. I just said earlier that Garcia is going to start Game 6 for Houston. That'll put Soler at the DH. And I think they're going to take they're going to take Soler and move him down in the lineup, and they'll probably put Rosario back at the top of the order to get that left-handed bat up there against Garcia, Mark. Before you comment on that, which I think would be an excellent move, Dan from Oceanside, California said LA is the city of champions. You know what? I can't argue. The Lakers and the Dodgers have won it recently, but he asked where Pittsburgh and Atlanta is. Well, okay, you can mention about Atlanta, but I'm sorry, the Steelers and the Pirates are the Steelers and the Penguins that have won a boatload of championships. And if you can't find it on a U.S. map, which it says here you can't, how about Google it, you knucklehead? So anyway, Mark,
I think what it is out there, wherever that guy's chiming in from, he can't get past the copper tone and the shades. You need to take that off, my friend.
Well, what if the sun is getting too frying his brain or not?
Might be the fog. Who knows? It might be the smog or whatever. But the poor guy, man. Somebody should clear his, windshield wipers out there, man. If you can't find Pittsburgh and Atlanta, man, I'll tell you, maybe you're in the 5-block radius out there and you can't seem to get out.
Maybe COVID-19 is affecting him. I don't know. Anyway, let's go, Mark. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. I don't know about you guys, but out here it starts Thursday. If you get food or anything, you got to either sit outside or you got to take it home. If you don't have your vaccine card, you're not going to get sitting in an establishment. Good luck with that thing, I guess.
Well, that's just insanity, but let's leave that alone. Let's reset the conversation here. I just talked about Rosario, is going to lead off, and they can move Soler down with Garcia starting, and they can put a hot Rosario's bat in the leadoff spot, and this should jumpstart the Atlanta lineup. I mean, I know going back to that bandbox, Mark, they'll play an outdoor game on tomorrow, most likely. But if there is a Game 7, it will be indoors because there's a 70% chance of rain in Houston. Your thoughts on Rosario at the leadoff spot for Atlanta?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's imperative that Atlanta puts them away tomorrow. I know they got 2 shots to win 1. The Astros are home needing 2, but you got to put them away. You don't want to take this to a Game 7 in that bandbox and everybody looking like J.R. Ewing out there. So you got to really put this thing away, and I think the Braves will figure out a way. The only bad thing is I would have loved to see him celebrating in Dixie out there in the Battery District and everything, and what's going on in that city. The Hawks let him down last year. The Falcons have been a mess, and you've lost 2 hockey teams, so it would have been nice to see a big party in Dixie, a little going with the wind setting there. But unfortunately now we're going to have a crew of people at the airport there welcoming the Braves back as World Series champions after tomorrow night.
Well, I like the positive attitude because I've already seen enough negative Nelly on social media. Here we go again. Atlanta's going to blow another championship. No. Change the narrative like JJ said and win this thing on Tuesday night. JJ, one last thing before I get to you. Everybody, you can get a hold of us on social media. You can go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, and like the show. You can get a hold of us all at social on Twitter at ATL Prime Sports, myself at Corder Todd, JJ get you one, Wayne at RWY Jr., and Mark at Mancini Sports. JJ, one last thing on the Braves. Mark just hit the nail on the head. The crowd in the Battery was tremendous. You made a video. You were there. You went to Game 4 on Saturday. You're thinking, 50 to 100,000 people at the Battery? That's incredible that more people were outside in the Battery than they were at the ballpark.
Yeah, it absolutely seemed like it. I know last night they said there was 50,000 in the stadium. They had to cap the Battery at 30,000. I think the fire marshal started getting on to them. There were so many people on top of everything trying to just get a cool view of the Jumbotron right outside the stadium at the Chop House Gate and by the H&F Burger Restaurant, where you can walk up and get yourself a burger, watch the game. It's like you're right there in the stadium. The energy was unbelievable. I tell you what, it was the third time in postseason history that back-to-back home runs were hit in that Game 4. And the back-to-back home runs one being the game tying, one being the game go-ahead home run. It was unbelievable being there. Everybody was chopping, good times, and it was just an energy that you'll never be able to see again. But here we go. The Braves have played well on the road all year. They've gotten 46 wins, 35 losses on the road through 11 games above 500. And I think they can take a DH advantage like they did in Game 1 of the World Series and chip this thing away.
Speaking of chopping and chatting, the Georgia Bulldogs were chopping and chatting after their win against Florida, where that defense just stuffed them from Jump Street. We got about 9 minutes left in the show, the 4-7 final. And right now, Georgia is a lock to play in the Southeastern Conference Championship game. And unless they get blown out in the conference championship game, they're most likely a lock to play in the playoffs. The only question is, who's going to quarterback them down the stretch? Is it still going to be Stetson Bennett, or are they going to get the starter back? That's the key. But to me, when you talk Georgia, JJ, talk about this defense. You were mentioning to me that in a conversation off the air that these guys are highly rated, on the defense. Of course, we all know about Nakobe Dean and Walker and company and Smith. I mean, we haven't seen a defense like this in college football in a long time, where we can go, you know what, as long as Georgia gets about 28 to 30 points a game, they're locked to win every game, because that defense isn't giving enough anything. I mean, they're average. They're not even allowing a touchdown and average. And in this day and era of offense, that's incredible. Give me the statistics and stuff on the top players on the Georgia defense, where they rank.
Yeah, so Georgia, obviously, folks, outstanding scoring defense, 6.6 points per game. They've only given up double digits 1, 2, 3 times all year. 2 shutouts versus SEC opponents in a row. The numbers go on and on. I'm pulling up our Twitter account now. Again, ATL Prime Sports on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and, of course, Twitter. And let me give you the stats here, guys. It's absolutely unbelievable. So Nakobe Dean, Pro
Dean on that
Focus.
Hey, JJ, I'm sorry, 1 second. I was going to tell you, Dean on that interception, he still may be running today.
Yeah, and speaking of Nakobe Dean, he was the highest-ranked SEC defender in Week 9 per Pro Football Focus College on Twitter. Nakobe Dean had an 85.4 ranking. Well, that's not it, folks. They ranked a top 6. Georgia had 5 of those players. Number 3 was Channing Tindall, a linebacker, 76.4. Jalen Carter, 75.6. Quay Walker, Georgia, 75.5. And Devontae Wyatt, a 74.6. And big boy Jordan Davis, number 99, wasn't even on that list. I'm sure he was right there below it. So, folks,
How is that
D
possible?
is ferocious.
How is that possible? All these guys are going to play on Sunday. Every last one of them, including Smith. I mean, this is a defense that, with all the age of offense, JJ, this is incredible.
It is incredible, and here's how it's done, folks. It's called recruiting budgets. Georgia's got the top recruiting budget in the country right now. They're spending around $3 million. Last time I checked, maybe it was $2.5 million. But the fact is, they're spending the money to get the players. They're reaping the benefits. They've had several number one classes. They're at the top of the rankings for 2022, and they're very close to the top of the rankings in 2023. They're bringing in the top talent, and it's starting to pay off. And when you pay, and you get paid now by name, image, likeness, you put a defense on the field like this, you get billboards all around the state of Georgia with big number 99 Jordan Davis from Morgan & Morgan. Guys, that's how big this Georgia defense is. They're all over the place. They're all over billboards. You can't run on them. You can't score on them. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. This team is so good from top to bottom, and it starts and ends with recruiting in Kirby Smart.
I mean, if Georgia's defense had an area where you may be able to get to them, it may be on the deep ball. We'll find out when they play Alabama, because there's nobody else on the schedule that I go, well, they're going to lose. No, they're not. They're going to steamroll everybody on that schedule. Go ahead, since we're talking about Georgia.
One last comment. You mentioned last comment on the Bulldogs right quick. You mentioned the defensive back, Deion Kendrick, across 233 coverage snaps this season, 23 targets, 8 catches allowed, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Folks, he's only allowed 113 yards all season. Good luck trying to throw the deep ball. We can throw it
to the other side of the field, I guess. I mean, like I said, you pick your
But
point.
then you've already mentioned Keely Ringo's probably even a better cover corner.
You know what? Now, that part there is hard for me to fathom. I mean, you know what? That's possible, no doubt about it. Anyway, since we're talking about college football nationally, we got about 3 minutes left on the show. Very quickly, we'll switch from Georgia. We don't have time to do the SEC West. I know Alabama's a national player. We got to talk about it. The college football playoff standings are coming out tomorrow. Is Cincinnati going to be on there, Mark? What are they saying out west, real quick?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. They keep, playing with poison, the Bearcats. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I was hoping you and I could have a party with Michigan. I love Harbaugh, but Michigan State spoiled that thing, and now they're moving up. So one of these Michigan schools is going to be in the top 4. Oklahoma could lose to Baylor, guys. Keep your eyes on that. And when the dust clears, nobody's taking out Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Nick Saban going to have another title.
All right, well,
wow.
The folks around here in Atlanta might disagree with that, with JJ on the other side of that. But let's go to the Final Four here, JJ. If it were set today, Cincinnati, to me, that's a telltale. If the committee doesn't have them in the top 4, then we know their chances of making the playoff are not good. But there is a lot of football to be played, so a lot can happen. The Big Ten, they may knock each other all out. Wake Forest, I don't think is going to be in the top 4 when the season ends. I believe they'll lose. So, this is an unusual season. If you're going to get a group of 5 team in it, this should be it. But I still think Cincinnati needs a lot of help to get in, because the who is in narrative and the pure playoff privilege, it still exists unless I see a change. We got less than a minute.
Yeah, real quick, guys, I think if Cincinnati, their position in tomorrow's college football playoff poll will mean the world to the Bearcats. If they are in the top 4, they control their own destiny, in my opinion. They have 2 ranked opponents possibly on the horizon versus SMU and Houston, who is also in the AAC. So one of those teams, if they stay ranked, they'll probably play them in the conference championship game. That will be a benefit to them as to having the extra ranked opponent. And that, I think, would be some of the top. It's got to be in the top of the schedule in group of 5 opponents, with ranked opponents in front of their schedule. And, of course, real quick, my top four has got to be Georgia, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, and Michigan State.
Well, we're going to find out tomorrow. We're out of time. We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you guys for doing the show today. There will not be a show next Monday. I will find out from our producer when the next Monday show is live here on Blog Talk Radio. You can listen each and every Monday, blogtalkradio.com, 1347-205-9631. For Todd Corder in Atlanta, for JJ in Atlanta, for Wayne in Memphis, and Mark in Los Angeles, we'll talk to you later. Have a great week, and go Braves.